Let me see if I can't set this up. I should already be live. I still haven't figured out how to do this smoothly, so it's always a bit of a hassle getting everything ready. There I can see myself. Let's turn off the sound. And let's figure out a proper way to put the camera, and hopefully everything will be sharp and proper this time. Alright, it's going to have to do this. I always have to do this live. It seems it's difficult to figure out how to do this. Not live. The tricky thing here is always to get it to focus in on the painting. So if you just bear with me for a second. So what I want to do in this live stream is I want to paint on, I suppose I can call it a semi-large oil painting. It's... Hello Krasi, welcome to the stream. Let me know if it looks alright, if it looks sharp. It seems that I always have to move things a little bit around for it to be properly sharp. There we have that. And I'm just going to start painting and we're just going to see. So the project here is this painting that I've already started on. It's just one layer of paint and I let it dry for a while, so it's actually quite dry. And I don't have a clear idea what I want to do here, but I want to make it quite light. I would like to have some flowers in it, and yeah, let's just see. So I think you can see me have my something like this. It's very nice. I can see it well. Wonderful. And you can see me if I look into the camera here. And let's just start, I think. So the question is, of course, what kind of a landscape should it be? I think we can have kind of like the landscape, the book that we started with yesterday. So I have this one here, and with a landscape like this in the foreground, and then some light here. I'm just going to start with the sun, make it a little bit lighter, and then we'll just see how it goes. So what I like to do here, I'm just going to start with a little bit brighter color. Of course, this painting is bigger, so I can have the camera a little bit further away and it should still be possible to see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to start with the oranges and then have a little bit of yellow and white in afterwards. But I want it to be quite a bit lighter. So the reason I just made the background first is it's nice to just have the backdrop. And then it's possible to go in and paint on top of that. I don't like to paint the entire painting in one go because then things just smear out and you just end up a mud mixer. I can do that with acrylics, but it's difficult with oil. So what I like to do, as I did here, I just started it 1 or 2 weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, and then I just let it dry for 2 weeks. And then it's possible, then I have the background and everything, and then I can just start right away here. I didn't think I was going to switch to YouTube, but it turned out that it's just so much better in so many different ways. And my battery seems to last a lot longer on YouTube. I seem to be able to have the live streams almost twice as long on YouTube as I did on Instagram. So yeah. And we actually have people watching here as well, so that's nice. So I'm gonna have to hold this a little bit. I should probably have taped this, but it's not completely dry. But never mind, there are always going to be some small problems here. Well, I'm glad you are happy, Natalie, and welcome to the stream. Yeah, after I figured out how to do this, I just had to have a few streams back to back. There. It's a little bit annoying that it keeps moving, but once we paint in more detail, I can just use a different brush. It's more annoying if it would be in a time lapse and then just everything just moves. So I can have this music a little bit louder, especially in the beginning. We usually don't speak as much as we do eventually. So I can do a few different things here. Of course, I'm just gonna come back to the landscape, but just to set up the entire thing, can already start with painting the landscape right away. So what I wanted to have there is a little bit of a blue-green color. Quite dark because I want it to be lighter later. But I want the shadows, the background to be quite dark. I love watching his streams while studying and actually just sat down to do some assignments. Oh, wonderful. There is music. I have it really, um, kind of silently in the background. I can see if I can make it louder. And I can. Let me know if it's too loud, but I think it's just a background music. Yeah, and Instagram, I get kicked off my live stream right away if I have music on in the background, but YouTube seems to tolerate it. So what I've learned with oil paintings, especially if I want to do something new, is to not care too much if it looks strange or something like that when I do new things, and just trust that I'm going to make it look good eventually. So I just focus on what kind of colors I want and so on, and then I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna have to trust that this is gonna look fine. I hear it very slightly. I can turn it on even more. Just let me know if it's too loud. My microphone is very close to me, it's my phone, so maybe it's not a problem. Let me know if it's too loud. It's just some ambient music. Kind of music you can study to or go to sleep to. I like this kind of music. It doesn't want anything from you. You can just kind of listening to it. Both ways is good. Well, I'm not gonna trust you, Krusty, if everything is fine, but you did tell me that the quality wasn't that good yesterday, so you still have my trust. So this shouldn't be too even. This is just going to be the background and things are going to be growing in front of it. But it should just kind of have some different colors so that it can provide some depth to it later to the painting. Oh, this is annoying. Okay. Next time I will get some tape and I'll stick it to a canvas board. I'll just have to be a bit more careful. Should stop being a problem once I have this background. So there we are. And this is kind of the color I want. Maybe a little bit more on the top. So this can be quite a close painting actually. It doesn't have to be as far away as I initially thought it was going to be. It can be much closer to everything here. Welcome AG, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I just figured let's just do another one. I did promise yesterday. And let's do a little bit more on the sky and then see what's gonna come. I did set the 144 again, but now I know how to force it to 720 and it worked. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, 144 is just, it's not good. And I'm glad that you can then see the quality that it should have, and you can let me know if suddenly it doesn't have that quality. Let's just smooth out the clouds. You can always go in and do more on the clouds at a later time. But some flowers are going to be in front of it, and there are going to be places where I can't go in. So it's nice to have the main part of it done. So I'm not entirely clear what kind of flowers I want to. I have tended to make a little bit more of my own flowers lately. I was often quite hung up on that it should be a specific kind of flower. But now I often base the flowers on a flower that I have learned, and then I kind of make it into my own version of a flower. So I think I'm gonna do something that's kind of based off of rhododendrons, and then just go off in my own direction. So if you recognize the flowers, especially in the beginning, I'm gonna base them off of rhododendrons, but then I'm not gonna stay very true. Because I think I want them to have a little bit more life and be a little bit more open. And then of course the question is the color. So what color could be nice here? Orange is not nice because we have that already here in the background. I think kind of purpley red. Let's see here if I can find a color that I like. So purple with kind of more pink highlights. And then you can go really into black in the middle. Let's try it. We can always change our minds. Let's see. But I'm gonna keep to some things. So 5 petals in this formation, but I think I'm gonna make them a little bit wilder. We just set the color first, and then you can come in and do highlights and shadows and everything. So color, and I mean shape more than anything. So like so. See, I'm just gonna trace the plant with the same color as well, just to make it a little bit easier. Hi Ines, thank you. Yeah, so it's a background I started a while ago, but most of it is going to be done today. And it's my own version of a rhododendron. Hi, I just wanted to know, do you sometimes paint with oil on paper instead of canvas? So I did paint on paper sometimes, and I really enjoy that. But now I paint on wood, and that is a little bit like painting on canvas on paper. Actually, the way that it behaves. So I have done it. I paint on paper canvas. So this is a paper canvas, which means that it behaves a little bit like paper and a little bit like canvas. It seeps in faster than it would on a normal canvas. But just on normal, actual thick paper, I have, and I really enjoy that. It's really, really different. Since you ask, you probably know this already. But I don't paint on paper like that anymore because I do sell the things that I paint, and if I paint on paper, and it's not paper canvas, it degrades much faster, and so I prefer to have it on something that's a bit more durable. But yeah, oil on paper really is a little bit more like, I imagine, aquarelle in a way. So like that. Then let's see. We might have some different different kinds of flowers. It doesn't have to be just one. But I want the rhododendron to dominate, and then we can have some different flowers in here afterwards. So let's see, I'm gonna put some here and a few there, and then we'll see. This can all come together as I paint. I have to try to not overdo it because then I won't really see how it looks, and I can't change too much. So I'm gonna have to be a little bit careful with how fast I go and how much I plant here. It's lovely, thank you, Cressy. I'm glad you think so. I'm interested to see how it continues. So I think I would like some kind of wild shapes of the flowers here. But then I have to make sure not to overdo it and not stuff the painting full. So I'm gonna just get some flowers down now and then do the leaves, and then we can go back in again. It's quite special being able to see how the painting evolves and different layers build up. I like that. That is one of the things that I wanted to do today, is not just to kind of continue something that's already done, but to actually do most of the painting here together with you guys live. And I do think that is a different kind of thing to be a part of than just seeing some small part of it. I'm glad that you agree. Get a different brush now. I kind of want the movement. I have to eat. All right. Well, it was nice to have you here, and a good evening from me. Of course, people from all over the place, I suppose. But nice to have you here, and I'll see you in the next one, or one of the next ones. Okay, let's get some of that movement into them. I have it quite dark. We can light everything up afterwards, but it's important to have quite a dark background, I think. But a different brush. Bye, AG. Okay, and the leaves. I think I'm going to do the leaves a little bit different than the traditional leaves of the rhododendron. I want them to be a little bit more alive. And just to follow the movement here. There are so many rhododendron plants. I'm just going to imagine this is a particular kind of hybrid. As long as you follow some simple rules, it's all possible somewhere. What I'm much more looking at now than to actually get the flower in the correct way is the movement and the feeling of the flowers in the painting. Why did you want the plants to correspond to actual plants in the beginning and not anymore now? Well, that is a good question. So I wanted it to be naturalistic, and I do want to learn from nature. And learning how they actually behave and how they actually grow, I think, was a really important part of learning. But now that for instance, I painted flowers and rhododendrons and different plants so much, it just seems that it's time that I can kind of free myself a bit from rules. I like having a little bit of confines to what I do, and I do want to learn how nature actually grows and works in reality, and so I found it important to learn how it actually grew and not just rely on fantasy. But at some point, I suppose I realized that I can do both. I can learn how things grow and behave, but once I know that, I feel free to deviate. So to deviate in in a conscious way, and not just because I don't know how it looks, if that makes any sense. I think that just still makes the plants rich and gives that feeling of reality to them, and then we can just deviate a little bit. Hello, Maria. Welcome to the stream again. Lovely to have you here. Thank you. And I'm actually deviating quite a bit here now. Just to have the flow properly, because I know rhododendrons often you have to pack a lot of things in. That's not what I'm going for here. And I think especially when I did the fantasy launch a couple of months ago, I just realized the joy of breaking some of my more rigid rules. So I want to do a mixture of that. And I'm noticing right now I'm just really inventing my own new flower. I thought I was going to follow the rules of the rhododendron more than I am. I think we can't really call these rhododendrons anymore. They are very much their own kind of flower. Then let's see, I was thinking it might be nice to have some bluebells in here. But before that, I am thinking it might be nice with some white flowers. They look real to me, very good. Well, they should look real. They don't have to be a specific real flower, but they should look real. I mean, they follow some kind of rules, just my own rules. Oh, it's getting a little bit loud. Let me know if it's too loud. It's very difficult for me to judge how much you guys hear. If I don't hear anyone, I'm just gonna assume that it's good, that the volume is alright. I think white mud would be nice, but I have to think about what kind of shape and so on. I don't have to think about exactly what flower, but I do have to think a little bit about the shape and so on, what would look nice. I have an idea though. I think some cherry blossoms without the cherry tree. The music is set good in my ears. Very good. Very good, thank you. So yeah, cherry blossoms without the cherry tree. So white, but a little bit of black in so that I can make it lighter afterwards. A little bit of black and purple into the white so that I can still make highlights later on. I think if they were traditional rhododendrons, they would overpower the painting anyway. Yeah, exactly. Bluebells, white champion flowers are out together. The blue and white are so nice. Yes, I agree. Yeah, traditional rhododendrons are just so thick and massive. And that's what I realized here. It wouldn't fit. White champion flowers, I don't know. But I think these... What I have in mind... Well, let's just create the flowers as we go along. I think a little bit of roundness in the flower, and they should be smaller, I think. So what I thought was kind of this cherry blossom feel. This brush is not good for that. Always have to match the brush to the shape of the petals you want to paint. I think some bluebells might be nice, but I would like to have some of the white ones established first. And I think maybe clusters of white flowers. A little bit kind of crowfooty. Not entirely sure. Let's see. I'm just gonna keep with this theme. This brush isn't the purple one either. I need a few more brushes actually. I haven't painted flowers in such a long time, so I still need to establish my brush setup for them. Because they all have a little bit too much of a tip. No, not that one either. Let's see, maybe this one. Too white though, just a little bit darker. That is better. That is better. And I thought clusters. And I'll just have a different brush here at the same time so that I can let's see how they grow. Okay, so they grow along the stem, imagining that they might be a little bit like forget-me-nots. So you kind of have the fresh flowers that are going to bud, that are just budding here, and then are going to spring out. So I still like to kind of create rules for my imaginary flowers. It makes it easier to create an actual feel of a real flower. And then they grow down the stem. They look just like white champion. We have a lot of them along a local river with bluebells just now. Or maybe there was some kind of a thought transfer here going on. I have absolutely no idea what white champions looks like, but if they look a little bit like this, then that is good to hear. I mean, there are a lot of flowers, of course, with this kind of petal setup. I think it's kind of one of nature's go-to way of creating flower petals before it starts to experiment. Let's get another one here. I think now I'm getting a little bit more of an idea of how they ought to look. still not happy with the brushes though. Maybe I'll go back to this one. No, but I have a small one that's kind of similar. Which is the one, is it the one I'm holding in my hand? Okay, let's try yet another brush. Let's see, maybe this is the one. That might be the one. It has a little bit more of that rounded top. And remember, of course, we're going to go in and do shadows and highlights and everything like that. The main thing is to get the shape in the proper way here. Kind of the outline of the flower. So there. Oh yeah, might not have room for bluebells. I'm just gonna concentrate on figuring out where the white ones should be first. And it might just be white and purple together here. I don't want to overburden the painting. So what I want is quite of a strong contrast on the flowers, but I still want it to be kind of a clean painting. So I think bluebells might be a bit too much. It's a shame because I think the color would have been nice to have here. That's it with these paintings. It's always well, some of these can have 4 leaves instead of 5. Does happen in nature as well. It really is a matter of painting and seeing how it looks and then adjusting. It's one of the reasons too I don't have too many clear ideas when I'm starting to paint, so that I can adjust and do different things. Thank you, Krasi. Yeah, I'm starting to get quite pleased with it. There's lots and lots to do still, but I quite like it. A little bit of white here, a little bit of white there, that kind of frame it. Maybe there's space for some blue ones, but we won't know that for a while. I haven't really decided if these white flowers should have any leaves. I mean, quite a few spring flowers get flowers first and then the leaves come later, so you can't absolutely have flowers with no leaves, because they'll get the energy for the flowers with the leaves in the autumn, and then the spring flowers will just flower from the energy that they saved that autumn, and then the leaves will come later in the summer. All of these things to think about when you create imaginary fantasy flowers. But it's the same as with an imaginary landscape. It's nice to have stories and explanations and reasons and so on, so that it looks real even though it's an imaginary landscape. I think that's the reason why I like the fact of learning how to do it in a more realistic way first and then deviating, so that you can still kind of, you can more easily get that feeling. If people really just break with reality, it often looks wrong. I need to go. That's all right. Thank you, Cressy, for joining. You basically spent quite a lot of hours the last few days with me here, so I'm thankful that you joined. Till next time. Okay, and I want this to be a little bit more even, so we'll have some flowers here too. That's more difficult since I'm sitting in a strange way. Hopefully I won't mess this up too much, but I think the brush is gonna help me. Bye, Krasi. I always enjoy it when you're joining us. There. So before we do any bluebells, I think it's going to be time to start with highlights and so on, and see how the painting turns out once we add more sun and so on into the painting. Let's see, are we here again? Okay. My phone. Oh no, I have to readjust it so that the quality comes back. Seems to have been some connection issues. But we can't have it like this. It needs to be better quality than that. Let's see, I'm just gonna try to fix this. Ah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. It was just my phone this time, no, my computer this time that made it into the wrong. Do you sometimes paint with acrylics? No, I never paint with acrylics. Yeah, I only paint with oil. So maybe I would like it. But I have tried it a few times and I just find that it dries so quickly. I'm sure it's just as annoying as for acrylic painters to paint with oil when it never dries. If you're just so used to a specific way of painting, it can just really be a hassle to go over to a different kind. And I just find that acrylics, it dries so quickly, I completely panic. So I haven't painted with acrylics in a very long time. I suppose on travels and so on it would be easier and more practical, but it dries so quickly that no. Well, nice to have you here, Natalie. Till some other live stream. Goodbye. Yeah, I can't expect you all to spend all weekend with me, but I'm really glad that you keep joining in. Oh my god, there's my thumbprint. Let's remove that. White. One more here. Don't want it to be too even. And I think, as I said, well, let's get some darker leaves even in front of that again. And then let's go in and make a little sun here and then spread the light. So as I said, if these flowers are a little bit based on, what is it called? Stork beak in Norwegian. Not sure if that's what it's called in English. It doesn't matter, it's not really that kind of flower. But I'm gonna base their leaves. They're gonna have some leaves. And I'm gonna base some of the leaves here in front of it on that. Just to have a little bit more of a complicated leaf than just a blade of grass kind of thing. So I'm just gonna imagine that they have some kind of a leaf growing from further down. And I'm gonna make it a little bit more complicated than just a normal blade. Maybe more of a kind of a dandelion-y thing. Should still have some grace to it, so I'm not entirely sure. Let's see if I can't do something in just kind of a more of a swoop on of the brush. I wasn't quite happy with this, so let's just go in again. Something like that. When I tried cleaning my liner paintbrush, it got bent. Oh no! It kind of split apart. So what you can do is, so if you have the liner like this, if it's all split apart, then dip it in some paint, quite a lot of paint, and when all the hairs will be together like this again, hopefully, if this happens once you have quite a lot of paint on it, then it should be alright. What you can do as well, you can have a little scissor, nail clipper, clip away the brushes, the hairs that don't join up again, and you should be able to use it again. But yeah, put a lot of paint on it and see what sticks into a liner tip. It doesn't have to be a problem as for the hairs to split apart, as long as they join together again when you have quite a lot of paint on it. And then you can leave it a little bit like that, not to dry completely, but just to dry a little bit so that they stick better together. And in the future, I always recommend, instead of cleaning it like this, I just roll it like this against the side, and that protects the hairs. And then I clean it off like this, so that the hairs don't get bent out of shape. Hopefully these tips help. I hate it when liners break. I would always advise when you buy liners to buy a few because they do break and get bent out, and it's difficult to use them. You can probably still use it, but it will probably never be as good as it was. So left in a glass with a thin. Oh god! Oh no! You should not do that. Well, what you can do is there are glasses that there are setups where you can kind of stick it, and then you have it in the glass like this, so it's not on the bottom. The way I clean them is just on the side here, roll it around, and then get some kind of a cloth and then roll it and get the paint off like this. Of course, if you use acrylics, it's going to be much worse than with oils. Acrylic paint destroys brushes like nothing else because it just dries so quickly. So that's another reason why I'm not a big fan of acrylics. It destroys brushes. If you want to leave it in a paint thinner, yeah, you have to suspend it. You have to get some kind of there are setups that you can buy that kind of does something like this. Internet has lots of very good advice, but don't do everything the internet tells you to do. Of course, I suppose I am part of the internet right now telling you what to do. But yeah, hopefully these tips will help you a little bit on the way. So I can't really decide what to do here. Maybe none of the leaves are from these flowers. I just want it to be darker on the bottom, basically. I can go in afterwards and do this more properly. It's not quite dry here, so I'm just gonna leave it a little bit like this, I think, and then come in later and figure out what to do. Yes. Yeah, that is how you destroy brushes. I used to go through an enormous amount of brushes, especially when I was just, the day is over and I just want to go to bed and I have so many brushes that I can't just leave there, and I would just grab them and put them in some kind of a medium. But yeah, you will destroy the hairs completely. I'm not entirely happy with this. I need to have something here on the bottom. Let's see. Let's just get a few blades of grass, what I said I wasn't going to do. I just need it to be darker here on the bottom. And then I can get these kind of movements into it and do something like this. But yeah, it just takes a while. In the beginning, you are going to ruin brushes. That's just how it is. So don't feel too bad. It's a very, very normal thing. I suppose there are people that don't, but I haven't met them yet. Oh, this is getting loud. Oops. There we are. Okay, I could do this forever, but let's create that sun. Let's go in and create the sun. See, I just have to clean the brush in this one. It was my first ever liner, Da Vinci. Oh, I am so sorry. I know that feeling. I hate it when I destroy my favorite liners. What I always do now, I always buy 2 or 3 at once, at the same time when I buy liners. Because if you just have one liner, it's just such an important piece. But you are always going to destroy your first liner. It's just an initiation to landscape paint, to painting. Destroying your first liner, that's kind of when your first steps into becoming a painter. Yeah, don't worry about it too much. And I mean, thankfully, the small liners are really cheap too. There are some of the larger brushes that, and if you have some Kolinsky Saber brushes that are incredibly expensive, that hurts a lot more to destroy. And now let's get that light into the landscape. Not too much, let's not overdo it. Let's use the liner, Da Vinci liner. They really are wonderful. Hopefully your new liner will get to you soon. I always love this part of painting. It's very hard not to overdo it, it's just so much fun. Just really carefully tracing the lines here. Of course, you probably trace the lines in the background too, but I don't want to have too much of the lines. I probably shouldn't do that. Let's just leave that as a backdrop. Figure out what I'm going to do with that later. The fewer lines I have with this highlight, the more it's going to stand out. Let's go a little bit closer here. There we are. So, to hold my breath here sometimes, just to get the light, the line properly in place. As I said, I don't want it to too many lines. You can always go back in and do more, but it's difficult to take them back. Let's concentrate on the flowers. I think we have the main lines here. Now let's do some of the lines on the flowers. So kind of a very bright red orangey color, and the purple is just the shadow. Let's see if that works. It has to be really, really light to actually go through because it's already quite light in the background here. You can hardly see it, but let's... Well, sometimes it doesn't have to be as bright, it just has to be redder, for instance. I have one particular color that is the brightest red I've ever found, which is called, well, brilliant red. There, it's not as bright, but it stands out better for the orange. Orange, yeah, the orange and the purple. That's correct. Oh, especially with the music, I'm being quite beamed away here. Kind of forgetting that I'm live. And either I'm not live anymore, or you guys are a bit beamed away as well. Which is fine. addition of the sun in the picture really brought to life. It was quite a subtle addition. I always love adding just a little tiny sun. It has a much stronger effect often, yeah, than you'd think. What is the wooden thing that the can? That's a good question. I tried to try to hide that. I have no idea what it is. I found it here, and I realized it's the most solid thing that I have that won't move. I have absolutely no idea what it is. I'll do a better job of hiding it next time. I think you can kind of extend it out and it does something. I have absolutely no idea. That is the wrong color there. I think I need a really, really dark, deep red instead. I have a purple red that I think would be good for this job. Lawn edging. Lawn edging? Could it be lawn edging? Could be that. I'm going to have to take a look at it. Figure out what it is. It might very well be lawn edging. This is more the proper color. Completely understand using whatever you have as ease. Well, I needed to get the setup right. It's more for the live stream, really. You roll it out and put the edge of your grass. Yeah, I can imagine it being that. But it works very well as an easel, which is probably, I think, its proper function. It's just that the manufacturers didn't think about that. That is true for a lot of things when you paint. A lot of the things that you buy shouldn't be as expensive as they often are. It's just that because you use them for, they sell it for painting, they kind of take something that's quite cheap, put it into a really, really tiny container and sell it really expensively. So I often bought a special kind of flower oil in really tiny little bottles. And then I just bought the same thing in a different shop for a different use, and I bought 10 times as much for a cheaper price. So, yeah. Sometimes if you want the cheaper thing, you just have to buy it when it's meant for something else. As a lawn edging. I'm not sure if it is because it's just one painting, or it's the music, or what it is, but I think this is probably the most relaxed and meditative live stream I've ever done. It's been going for 70 minutes now, and it really doesn't feel like that. I suspect it is the fact that I can now finally have music on in the background. And this is much more like I would usually just sit and paint. Yeah, exactly. Basic paintbrush are much, yeah. Especially if you want to buy a large art brush. They are so expensive, and just buy the one that is meant for kind of your normal wall painting. And the price will be so much cheaper for the same quality. The hobby stores just really fleece you. I think it's as well when people buy things for their hobby, they look very differently and not as much on price as they usually would, so it's possible to mark things up. It then often changes again when you get to more professional artist level, because then people actually need to buy quantities and they actually need to live off of it. So then you will often have the kind of the local oil paint or something with a much bigger volume again for a cheaper price. But it's something that kind of in the middle thing that gets incredibly expensive. The dedicated hobbyist, I think, is the one who pays the most. Alright, this probably needs to dry quite a bit before I can continue. But I think we got quite far. I am going to end the stream here, and I'm going to start cleaning my brushes, and I'm gonna take this out a little bit more, like so, and I can actually see you. And I'm gonna be cleaning my brushes a bit. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here on this live stream. It was fun to paint just one actual oil painting this time. I'm going to get that music a little bit down. I don't like to just end these too abruptly, so I'm just going to clean my brushes a little bit. And yeah, thank you, Ines. Thank you for joining the stream, and I'm so glad to have you guys here and being able to invite you into my job and into my day. And it's been fun. And I think I will do many more paintings. It's fun to do something almost from the beginning and have you guys follow along. So I'm really glad that that I can do that, and I can invite you guys in. And I don't actually need to clean these brushes. They're oil. It's oil painting. Oh my god! As it's oil painting, they will keep until tomorrow, and I have more to do tomorrow. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Maria. Thank you for joining again. And I will hopefully see you all in the next one. So goodbye, and thank you for now.